and welcome to another episode of the Ball and All podcast. My name is Mpho. I'm a commentator, basketball commentator, soccer commentator, cricket commentator, but my first love will always be basketball. And so I do this podcast to talk all things basketball. We normally do talk NBA, but this part of the year is all BNL basketball, or BAL, not BNL, that's the South African League. Basketball Africa League 2022. I do daily recap shows, and so this is the Nile Conference daily recap. We've seen day 3 now of the Nile Conference happening last night. Some really good games between Zamalek and Cape Town Tigers, Petra de Luanda and Cobra Sport. And what I can say is that there is a gulf in class between the two teams that made the semifinals against the two teams that come in. But one team showed a lot more fight, whereas the other team kind of felt like they just weren't there. But let's talk about it. Let's get through it. And let's go. Remember, please do follow me on Twitter as well as Instagram. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's the Ball and All podcast done by me. But let's get going. First game of the night, Petra de Luanda against Cobra Sport. Petra de Luanda broke another record, 36-point record in Basketball Africa League, 36-point win. They had a 29-point win against Cape Town Tigers. Now they've got a 36-point win against Cobra Sport. Cobra Sport tried in the first half, they really did, but then it started blowing away. It started going away, and largely because Yannick Moreira, who was just so dominant for them. When he played 14 minutes, scored 14 points. He was 7 from 9 from the field. And that was all enough to get Petra de Luanda away. It was a really good game for Petra. They showed their dominance everywhere. They had 50 points in the paint compared to 30, even though, and this is one thing about Cobra Sport, Cobra Sport's rebounds, 47-47, they even won the offensive rebound battle. They just could not score. They truly struggled to score, and effectively that's what it happened, because they also, the other thing with Cobra Sport was the turnovers. 27 turnovers resulting in 31 points from turnovers. That's not gonna help you at all in winning a game in Basketball Africa League. Petra de Luanda was so good in that game. Yannick Moreira, who's one of the new signings to come into side, 14 points and 4 rebounds with 3 assists. You also had Lucani Gonzalez with 12 points, 6 assists in that game. And then there's Abubakar Gaku, who was a power forward. He scored 17 points in his 18 minutes, 8 rebounds as well. He was 8 from 8 from the free throw line. That was also something that we saw from Petra. Petra de Luanda were 18 from 21 from the free throw line compared to Cobra Sport 14 from 32. If Cobra Sport are like 80%, that's like 24. That makes this thing look a little bit better. So it's, to a certain extent, Cobra Sport are still a very good basketball. They're still a good basketball side, but they met a juggernaut, an African juggernaut. Off the bench, Johnny Pedro gave them 10 points. The bench points themselves, 41 from Petra de Luanda compared to 23. You just had a team that was overall better. The biggest lead of the game was 41. It was wire to wire. Petra de Luanda did not need to worry about that. And so now they just have to rest up for their massive game against the home team, Zamalek, on Friday. That's going to be massive, massive, massive to kind of see where Petra de Luanda are. Petra de Luanda, from my perspective, look much better than what they were last year. I think they had a problem in the paint. Now they've solved it out. Olympia Cipriano's looking good. The big men are all looking good. 65 from inside the arc, 65% from inside the arc, 22% from 3. That still needs to be better. That's the one place I would be worried about. But they have 85% from the free throw line. So that's something. The assist numbers at 27. They still had high assist numbers in the first game. That kind of tells you a team that shares the ball around. And that's the one thing. They also had 19 steals, giving you a sense that they are a really good defensive side. And funny enough, Cobra Sport won the second chance points battle. So they're a really good side in the paint. They're just allowing teams to beat them on the transition. And that's just the sad part about it. With the turnovers, protect the ball, you win a lot of games. They weren't protecting the ball. They gave Petra de Luanda. This one, 31 points. They lost by 36, 31 points off the turnovers. Obviously, it's a little bit of a iffy stat. It's not a stat I want to go to, but gives you a sense of where this Cobra Sport team lost it. Padiet Wang from Cobra Sport, he scored 15 points. He also had a buzzer beater at halftime. Really, really good shot there from him. He's someone to look out for. But all the other players, Malual, they didn't come through for Cobra Sport. They need to go back and reassess because they've got massive games tomorrow. And I'll talk about tomorrow's games. But the second game of the night between Zamalek and the newbies, Cape Town Tigers is the first team in Basketball Africa League to score 100 points. Zamalek, the defending champions, they beat Cape Town Tigers by 24. Don't let the score deceive you. Cape Town Tigers at halftime led by 4 points. It was 40-36 at halftime. In the second half, it went down largely because, and many people, Peter Prinsloo, the captain, the center, he was doing a great job tonight. So was Billy Preston Jr. doing a really good job. Preston Jr. was on Mohammed Anas Mahmoud. Prinsloo was on Ike Diogu. Prinsloo got into foul trouble. Mick Kabongo, who's the floor general, he was getting the team guys some good looks. He was running, he was pushing the pace on the floor. They were really causing trouble for Zamalek on the transition. They were getting there, they were moving the ball, and by the time the defense got time to set, the shot was flying. That was really good to see from the Cape Town Tigers. Really good offense in that first half, and they gave the effort. They had to take Kabongo and Prinsloo out in the second half to kind of preserve them because they had 3 fouls each. That gave Zamalek the inkling to come back in. And if you look at the shot chart and you look at the way the Cape Town Tigers were playing in that first half, they were forcing Zamalek to shoot threes. They're not a great three shooting team. They were forcing them outside. In the second quarter, Zamalek only scored 11 points. Largely because the defense was a collapsing defense and guys kept on pushing out. Edgar Sosa took some, not a lot. They had massive threes in big moments, but largely it wasn't a great 3-point shooting night for Zamalek. It was they shot 32% from three, which is okay. But it wasn't something that to look out for. Whereas inside the paint, 62 points, that needs to be looked at in terms of Cape Town Tigers, because Zamalek want to, and Petra they want to dominate you in the paint. And that's kind of what happened in that second quarter, even in that second half, and third quarter, and in the final quarter. They were just so dominant inside the paint. Zamalek were moving the ball around, making the Cape Town defense react. They weren't shooting well. Finally, the shooting got better as the game got along, and that's why they got the momentum to go through. Great thing about Cape Town Tigers, they did not give up. Billy Preston Jr. led all the scorers with 26 points and 7 rebounds. Jamel Artis, both of them were in COVID protocols in the first game, health and safety protocols. Jamel Artis with 11. Evans Gamapano coming through with 14. Mickey Kabongo scored 13.6 rebounds and 3 assists. He also got some really nice charges. Got one charge there on Mohammed Anas. That was good. Mick Kabongo reminds me of a Pat Bev that can actually score. And that's really and is a much better passer and a much better scorer, but he's got that mentality, that hustling mentality, and that's what Mick Kabongo brings to this team. He ran the floor really well in that first half. The team just ran out of steam. Edgar Sosa, 25 points. He did really well. Diogo got a double-double. So did Mohammed Anas Mahmoud, also got a double-double. I love the battle between Mahmoud and Billy Preston Jr. Billy Preston Jr. blocked Mahmoud, went back for a coast-to-coast. Then Anas Mahmoud would block Billy Preston Jr. And then Preston Jr. and Mahmoud, was just that battle. Every time either one of them got the ball, the other one was on them. That's the type of basketball we loved, and something that Cape Town Tigers will take on. Don't be fooled by the scoreline. Cape Town Tigers are looking much better with their players back, Preston Jr. and Artis. Imagine what they would have done. I think they wouldn't have beaten Petra de Luanda, but that scoreline would have been a lot closer. They still obviously need help from the bench. They only use 3 players off the bench, Sibanyoni, as well as, just going to get you those names on the bench. The 3 players on the bench was Sibanyoni, it was Festile, as well as Ben Myberg, but they didn't give you much. Then he gave you 8 points off the bench. That's something that needs to change, especially on high minutes. 20 minutes for Sibanyoni, 13 from Festile, 13 from Myberg. That needs to change. That needs to work. And something needs to work there. But from a Cape Town Tigers perspective, that starting five, really happy with the effort that they gave. They really came through, and it's a starting five that can actually make it into the playoffs. And a team that can make it into the playoffs are really good scorers. Just need to protect each other in terms of fouls and move the ball around. Maybe even get a Lebisa Salepe in there to just run the plays when you want to rest Mick and stuff like that, just to give yourself a little bit of a little bit more defense. It gives you more defense and also a little bit more just legs coming off the bench and to give you a little bit of a refresh. So happy with the effort the Cape Town Tigers gave. Zamalek, Petra on a roll. They are running away with this thing, and it's going to come down to the bottom four. The bottom four need to decide where they are going to end up in this game. Finally, let's look at the table. So the table looks like this. Petra at the top, largely because they points difference. Zamalek following them as well. Then you have FAP of Cameroon in third. They're playing today. And then you've also got Cape Town Tigers in that fourth spot with Cobra Sports. Same amount of things. I think Cape Town Tigers scored more points than Cobra Sports. So they're higher on the log. And you've got Mpho at the bottom. This today, let's look at the fixtures. I want to tell you. These fixtures today, take off the banner so you can see them properly. Cobra Sport, Mpho, massive game. Massive game. And it's going to give whoever wins these next two games, whoever two teams come out of this, they have an inside track to make it to the playoffs. So Mpho and Cobra Sport, big game. I think Cobra Sport might just put this one. It's been quite interesting to see similar styles of teams at a similar level, just that level below Zamalek and thingy. Let's see how well they will do. I think my money's on Cobra Sport for this one. FAP and Cape Town Tigers. After what I saw last night from Cape Town Tigers, I think the best thing for them is to get back on the horse. Get back and try and play. FAP have gotten some rest. They're a really good side. They made the playoffs last year in BAL. Really massive test for Cape Town Tigers. If they can beat FAP, they put themselves with a great chance of making it to Kigali. And that's what you want if you're a Cape Town Tigers fan. And then obviously going down to the Friday on the weekend, Good Friday, Cobra Sport and Cape Town Tigers. That's a massive game because if Cape Town Tigers can come out with 2 wins here, that gives them a chance of making it into the thing, and all they need to do is make sure they beat Mpho, and they're in. That's how this tournament goes. Zamalek and Petra de Luanda, the biggest game of the Nile conference. These two heavyweights are going to be slugging at each other. Massive battle in the paint with some outside shooting. I think Zamalek might take this, but I think Petra might want to make a statement. And if they want to make a statement, this is the time for them to do it. Outside of that, thank you very much for joining me on the Ball and All podcast, the Basketball Africa League recap edition. Please do follow me on Twitter as well as on subscribe to my YouTube channel. Outside of that, for myself, Mpho, have a great day and lesale kakagiso.